Ladies and gentlemen, please notice that exits are conveniently located at the front and rear of this auditorium. When leaving the theater, we suggest that the exit at the front of the auditorium will allow you easier access to the parking areas. Thank you.
Oh my God.
That's gross.
Corey Feldman does not know how to eat a freaking pizza.
Completely changed the face of everything.
It's very unique. I will give it that.
Oh, thanks. I don't want to embarrass myself.
Should I embarrass myself?
No, please no. Oh, shut up. Shut up.
I am embarrassed.
Hey there, I'm Mike Field.
And I'm Mike Butler.
And you're listening to the Forgotten Cinema Podcast.
Each episode, we highlight a film that, for a variety of reasons, was forgotten by audiences. Whether it be because of a more popular movie was released at the same time, or the movie simply didn't catch on with an audience in its initial run. We'll discuss what we love about the movie, or perhaps what we don't love about it, and decide whether the movie is worth a revisit. If you enjoy our podcast, please feel free to rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes or wherever you're listening to this podcast.
Yeah, tell everybody.
Woo. Spread the word.
You did it. You got through it without messing up.
All right.
The second time. The power of the edit.
Nice.
So I guess we're going to talk about ourselves now, because that's what's next, if you had the notes up.
I didn't know if we were still doing that or not, so I didn't.
Oh, right. You know what? We're not going to. You know us by now, right, everyone?
Episode 10!
If you don't know who we are, perhaps you could go back onto the website, and there is a blog entry that has an introduction for us, and we kind of go through what we talk about in this podcast, what's it about, basically what Mike just said, and we actually tell you a little bit about ourselves. So, yeah, so go there. But, again, hi.
Hello.
Welcome back. So before we, we're just going to straight up introduce the movie. Is that what we're going to do here? Is that what we're doing right now? Why are you staring at me like you don't know what the hell's going on?
I was thinking about starting the theme song.
What, we're going to sing?
That's what I was thinking.
Okay. All right, that's fine. We'll do it. We'll be embarrassing. So can you guess what movie we're going to do? I'll let you take it, Mike, and I'll chime in.
Dun, 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 dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. Keep going. That's right. We're doing the 2010 film, The A-Team.
All right.
Enjoy that. All right. So before we begin, if you haven't seen this movie, go watch it. Go find it. I found it very easily. I can't tell you how, but I found it.
You found an extended
I did. I actually watched the extended version of this movie, which is 17 more minutes. And I didn't know it was the extended version of the movie until I started watching it. And I was like, I don't remember this from the movie. Texted Mike, and he confirmed that I was watching a different version. But I didn't want to stop, so I watched it. Mike rewatched the original theatrical version. So we're going to have some, I don't know. I mean, there wasn't that much difference.
Well, I guess we'll find out in our viewing notes.
So if you have not seen this movie, go watch it now so you can come back and I guess understand what we're talking about. If you don't care, then continue to listen.
And that's our spoiler alert.
Yay. All right, so real quickly, let's just break down the plot of the movie. This movie is kind of like half origin, half just regular episode of the A-Team. This movie is based on the early 80s TV series created by Stephen Cannell. I am a child, I guess, of the 80s. I was ages 5 through 15 in the 80s, so I guess that counts. And I loved the A-Team. I wasn't allowed to watch the A-Team at sometimes by my parents, but I actually liked the A-Team. Didn't really understand most of it probably, but I just, I liked the fact that stuff was exploding and, people were fighting and they always seemed to walk away from the accident, so that was cool. But this movie starts off with where we meet Hannibal Smith, played by Liam Neeson, and we meet him and Face, played by Bradley Cooper, are involved in some kind of intel op in Mexico with some general. They meet B.A. Baracus, who's played by Quentin Rampage Jackson in some form. We meet him where he beats up a bunch of people. Actually, in yours, is he beating up people in yours?
Yeah, to get his van back.
Okay, see, I didn't remember that. So yeah, okay. So he kicks everyone's butt and he gets the iconic A-Team van. and he runs into Hannibal at some point, and they go and save face, pun not intended. And they come back and they go to a mental hospital, not mental hospital. Is it a mental hospital?
No, that's just a regular
psychiatric hospital. Hospital.
That's just a regular hospital.
Go to a hospital to find Murdoch, who is played by Sharlto Copley. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
If you remember the TV series, Murdoch is somebody who is not, I guess he has some issues, not all there in terms of he's a little out of eccentric, I guess is probably the best term. They play it like he's crazy half the time, but I would say that he's more eccentric, especially in this one, rather than the TV show.
It does seem like he's playing it up, but
right.
we can get to that.
So they find him because he's the helicopter pilot. They get him. They escape. They get to Mexico. You just it's a 20-minute intro into which I enjoyed, into the whole movie. Kick to the title credits. 8 years later, they go 8 years later, 80 missions later. They're in Iraq, and they go off, and there's Saddam Hussein or somebody who is loyal to Hussein is carrying plates that for the built to make money, money plates, and they're going to go steal them. So they want to go grab them because they don't want them out into the open, because then it'll just be an open season for making money. They have this plan they put together. They get the plates, and then they're double crossed by one of the guys from, what's the name of the Black Forest?
Black Forest.
Black
yep.
Forest. A man named Pike, played by Brian Bloom, who actually co-wrote some of this with Joe Carnahan, who's the director, and Skip Wood's another writer as well. So where was I? Oh yeah, so they get double crossed by Pike. He steals back the plates. You also are introduced to a character named Lynch. It's not his real name. It's played by Patrick Wilson. He's a CIA operative who has some, I guess, mysterious
motive. Yeah,
mysterious motives. You don't know. You really don't know what's going on. Well, that's something we'll get into. So then, also they introduced Jessica Biel's character Sosa, who has a history with Face. They were a couple at one point, and she is actually working for the DoD. So she is actually she has interest in the plates and interest in what's going on. She's on the opposite side of Lynch, who you don't realize is partnered with Pike, but he is. Basically, they steal the plates. The A-team is they're put in jail. They are, their ranks are all pulled. They were basically blamed for everything. One of the main characters in the movie, General Morrison, who is pretty much is played by Gerald McRaney, but Morrison is Hannibal's mentor a little, or he is his mentor, and he is killed in an explosion when they're double crossed. So they are accused of killing him. They're all sent to different jails. Then it goes 6 months later from that. Lynch approaches Hannibal Smith. Hey, you want to go get these plates? They're out in the open. Here's Pike. Here's this Saudi guy who's trying to, I guess, sell the plates. Mm-hmm. You want to go break out of this? So then Hannibal breaks out of his prison, goes and breaks everyone else out of their prisons, and you see where they are. And 6 months later, they go. They're basically their mission is go get the plates, clear their names, get reinstated, and just get to doing what they love to do. And that's, I mean, without going into detail in terms of like what happens at the end, that's pretty much the plot of the whole movie. If it sounds like I'm all over the place, I will admit that this plot is all over the place. So that's probably one of the things we'll talk about. But that is the plot of the A-Team, as I guess said by me. And then I guess real quickly, I'll just run through some production facts. I kind of went through the cast throughout that whole thing. I don't think I missed anyone. This movie was released on June 10th, 2010, so it's a summer film. It was released, the big movie that it was released against was the Karate Kid, the Jaden Smith movie, the remake, and Jackie Chan, who played the Pat Morita character. So it got destroyed. I think Karate Kid made like $55 million that opening weekend to the A-Team's $25 million. To give you an idea of one of the reasons maybe why it was forgotten is the week after this came out was Toy Story 3, which destroyed everybody, which was like $100 million opening weekend. So it's rated PG-13. Like I said before, I watched the extended cut, which was 133 minutes. Mike watched the theatrical, which was 117 minutes. The budget was $110 million. It grossed domestic 77, worldwide 177. So while it may look like it made some of its money back, I don't think it made enough of its money back, or it wasn't enough of a hit to, as we'll talk about later, to kind of warrant a sequel. Mm-hmm. Directed by Joe Carnahan. You may remember him from Narc. Have you seen Narc?
Yes, Narc's very good.
Smoking Aces, which I do not like. I do not like Smoking Aces.
I've wanted to watch Smoking Aces.
Yeah,
I never did.
I mean, go ahead, but I was not a fan. Stretch, which you should watch because that's with Patrick Wilson. That's actually one of our movies that we wrote down that we might want to do. You should watch Stretch.
I'll watch it when we do it for the podcast.
No. You watch it.
You son of a bitch.
And he did the Gray, which is good. Gray's a good movie. Oh, you know what?
Gray's okay.
You don't like anything. The Gray's good.
I don't like anything.
What? So anyways, like I said, written by Carnahan and Brian Bloom, Skip Woods. I think they have a writing credit in for one of the original creators, not Cannell, but I can't remember his name. I'm blanking. But he also got a credit, I think, just because of the characters. Lupo or something like that. That's my bad. I should know that. Frank Lupo, yep. I looked that up. And, yeah, that's pretty much the production facts. That's what I got.
Cool.
So, I mean, I always usually ask you what you like about it, what didn't you like about it. But, I don't know. I guess start off with something so we can kind of go from there.
All right. In general, the first time I watched this movie, I remember going out and going, that was good. That was okay.
Yeah.
And I liked it a lot more the second time, I think.
This time right now?
This time around,
okay.
Watching it again.
Interesting.
Because I think, well, I think it has to do with the plot being all over the place. Watching it again, you don't have to focus as much on the plot. You
Sure.
can just have fun with the movie. That's not to say that forgives the plot being all over the place.
It is. I would admit it's messy.
But I mean, this movie was almost 10 years ago, which upsets me.
Oh, you're
makes
old.
Me feel old.
Well, you're old. Get used to it. Listen, listen. When were you born?
1987.
Okay. I was at the opening. Did you see Jurassic Park in the theater?
That is my most memorable movie theater.
Really? You saw that in the theater?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Then that doesn't make me feel so old. You should feel really old then. I'm trying to think of a movie that I saw in the theater. Okay, wait a minute. I remember seeing Back to the Future 2 in the theater, and I remember because at the end of Back to the Future 2, they show the 5-minute trailer for Back to the Future 3, and I saw that at the Fourplex that's over by here. I saw that in Cinema 1. I remember when I remember that because I remember watching it, and then I remember the trailer running, and then I was like, oh my God, I saw this with my dad. I was like, oh yeah, it's when's it come out? It was like 6 months later. I'm like, what? And so you want to feel old. I remember that. I remember Hoosiers. I remember Man Without a Face. I remember Silence of the Lambs in the theater. I remember The Shadow. God, I'm old.
No, I don't feel so bad.
Yeah, see? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But go ahead. You were saying before I just started interrupting you.
Well, part of it says, like I said, came out in 2010, so that was kind of... Iron Man had already come out by then, but you didn't get that proliferation of just everything in the summer has to be a superhero movie. This is one of the last, like, I don't know, guys with guns action movies.
This movie?
One of the last ones that I can remember being, like, big summer blockbuster version of it.
Okay, but are you talking about back from 2010? Like up till
from 2010 up to now?
Oh, because I would argue John Wick.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I'm saying there aren't a lot.
Oh, no, of course not.
They're
You're
few and far
right.
between, which is
No.
what makes me appreciate it. Absolutely, John Wick's amazing.
It is. Go watch John Wick.
We can't. It's not
listen.
forgotten.
We are on the eve. Well, as we record this, we are on basically the eve of Avengers Endgame, and I will tell you right now that I am more excited for John Wick 3 Parabellum than I am for Endgame. That's right. I said it.
I'm there with you. Although I think
wait.
I would be more excited for Godzilla than anything personally.
Here's the problem with Godzilla. It's I don't know. I really wish we are on a wicked tangent, but I really wish that with the Godzilla movies that they didn't do all the monsters at once. Give me 8 movies and give me each monster movie. I mean, please, at least maybe 2. Do you have to do all of them?
I don't need a Monster Avengers. I'm okay with just doing them all at once now.
Oh, it'd be awesome if they could get like Nick Fury in these.
You're a giant monster.
Godzilla.
How would you like to be a giant monster for your... you're from Japan.
Forget it.
All right.
All right. So we're doing the A-Team.
So anyway, I liked that about it. I liked that it was the action movie. So it made it maybe more forgivable. It was from a different time. I'm like, all right, I miss these movies.
Okay.
And everyone just looks like they're having a lot of fun during the movie. It's a fun movie. Everyone's kind of having fun. It's jokey. The jokes, most of the jokes are fun. They land. Everyone's really putting, I think, their best into it.
Yeah.
So I like it, and the action's pretty good until maybe the end.
The action set pieces are one of the things I highlighted that I enjoyed. Like when they first get the plates, that whole thing.
That's a good sequence.
In Iraq, the escape from the plane, the tank. I love the tank scene. I love. My favorite line is when Sosa, when they're like, what are they doing? They're trying to shoot when they're flying.
Oh,
when the
she's disappointed.
when the tank's going down, and they start firing the tank gun to kind of guide themselves towards the lake. And they're trying to shoot down the drones, and she's like, "No, they're flying the tank." Like that her delivery there is really good. It's funny.
Fire!
You trying to shoot down that other drone?
No, they're trying to fly that tank.
You can't fly a tank, fool!
So that's a great scene. And and when they get the plates again, when he goes sliding down when Baracus is sliding down the side of the building.
The building,
and
yeah.
I thought that was done. I liked that action. So Carnahan can do really good action. So, but again, I agree with you about the end. The ending is like, it's like, okay. Like the whole lead up when he's doing at the end of the movie when they're talking about how he's gonna move all the tanks and he's talking about distraction. It's like, okay, like I get like that must have been awesome to write and that must have been like awesome to visualize. But like when you're watching it, you're like, this makes no sense.
No.
So yeah, no, it was okay. Although I do like in that scene, I really like when B.A. body slams Pike on his head.
Oh, that's one of my favorite parts of the movie. Absolutely.
But I wanted them to fight more. Like it was so quick, and you don't really. It's like a terrible view too, because it's like it's from behind, it's down below. Like they didn't have a great angle. Like it wasn't like, but he bounces off that. I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, that was cool. I like that. So, for this movie on the whole, it's not. I don't think it's perfect. It's definitely not perfect, and I would argue that it's not great. But I think why I enjoy it is because I loved the TV show so much that I love that my love for the 80s show is it's definitely what brought me to this movie to watch it when it first came out, obviously. But what keeps me engaged in it is because I've always liked the A-Team. I like the song. We sung it. So it was something that it was part of growing up, kind of watching the A-Team. So I was into the movie, and I thought that on the whole, all four of the guys did a great job with each characters.
In this film.
Yeah, right. I thought it was well cast. I thought it was a good cast decision. Even though when you go through the litany of this movie was in development hell for like 10 years, 20 years.
I can see that.
And the people that they offered this movie to, like Harrison Ford, Mel Gibson, Bruce Willis, I'm just sitting there going, what? Like I could not see them doing any of that. I mean, not that I'm saying Liam Neeson was the perfect Hannibal Smith. I'm sure we could come up with somebody else, but I thought Bradley Cooper was a really good face. I thought that was a good casting note, and I think you have to get somebody for the BA character that's not bigger than the BA role. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah.
So I think that works, and Copley's good. So I mean,
really
yeah, he's probably the best version of the four in terms of who played their character the best in terms of how they were in the show out of all of them. So I think it was because I enjoy the show so much that why I like the movie. But if someone's sitting down with me and trying to be like, okay, listen, I'm going to make you not like the movie, I'm not going to argue because they're accurate. The plot is completely all over the place. It's like, and what also bothers me is the tagline. So the tagline on the poster was, "There is no plan B." It's like, I'm sorry, but if you've watched the A-Team and they say the line like 3 times in the damn movie, the tagline, he says it all the time, was when he goes, "I love it when a plan comes together." The tagline should have been, "They love it when a plan comes together." I mean, something like that. Yeah. There is no plan B. I mean, come on, that's done by somebody who has never seen the stupid show or never understood. I mean, come on.
No, so there's no plan B. It's perfect.
That bugs
I like
me.
it.
That bugs me. That's the tagline to the goddamn movie.
What if he gave the advertising guy, like 4 tags, and one of them was, "I love it. They love it when a plan comes together," and it was just quotes from the show, and he goes, "No. There is no plan B."
Yeah, God, it's a big whiff. It's a big miss. One of the other things I enjoyed is I'm sorry, but like I know they won't get rid of it, but that 20th Century Fox logo when it starts.
That was my main thing. Yeah.
That's the best opening. I mean, I'm not saying anything nobody already doesn't know already, and I get it. Everyone is like, yeah. Enamored. I mean, when they lost that ahead of Star Wars when Disney took them over, that sucked. That day you didn't have that. I mean, will it come back? I don't know. Maybe. Actually, I wonder if it's on this one.
I hope they put on episode 9 when it starts. That'd be awesome.
I don't know. It's technically not a Fox.
Just do it for the sake of the film.
I guess. Okay. So
it also made me sad that it said, the lights came up and it said, I don't know if yours did, the 75 years, and I was like, 75 years and you sold yourself to a mouse.
Because he didn't want his kids to have it. I know. They're about ready to buy some game company for $13 billion. I just read Disney.
Really?
Yeah.
Ugh.
They're gonna own everything. They're gonna own this. I mean, they can. Yeah, that's fine. We'll just do Disney films, which is probably 95% of the market, right? So yeah, so we're good.
All right.
So yeah, so I brought up the fact that we talked about that the opening was 20 minutes long. I actually liked that. The Alpha Mike Foxtrot stuff, which honestly, I did not get the first time. I don't know why I didn't get it. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention. Because obviously when they say Alpha Mike's Foxtrot, they're saying he says it, adios, motherfucker.
Yeah.
So I didn't, for some reason, I didn't get that in the first take, which is shame on me.
Alpha, Mike, Foxtrot. Think about it. Adios, mother.
But I really dug when they introduced Hannibal and they have the theme song in the background. Like it was like really like quiet, and I was like, yeah, all right, let's go. Like I loved all that. That was great. And again, that's probably because I love the show. So yeah.
Him coming out of the shadows is a little much for me.
Well, I mean, it's
But
I don't know.
I get it.
What do you want? Do you want to watch him fighting the dogs?
It's your trailer shot.
Yeah, no, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I do like the general. Did you notice where you saw the general from? Because he looked really familiar.
The Joe McGraney?
The general
actor?
Film was Yul Vasquez, General Javier Tuco.
Okay. I'm sorry. You're talking about
At
the
the
guy
beginning of
that
the film,
kidnapped him. Yeah. Okay.
In Mexico.
Yeah.
So Yul Vasquez, it was in Russian Doll.
Oh yeah, no.
I'm watching.
Good show.
Where the hell did
Good
I
show.
see this guy from?
Yep.
I was like,
Really good show.
Yeah.
I turned you onto that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So listen, now I'm watching Sabrina, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. I mean, you might want to take a look.
Okay.
Listen, it's got a very Buffy the Vampire Slayer vibe to it, which, you say, I don't know. You might.
I do like Buffy the Vampire.
So it's starting to get that way. I started to feel that. So I was like, okay, I'm into this. Although, again, it's like when you watch Buffy, like they're all teenagers, but they do so much stuff. Like I just watched an episode where like these people are 16 years old and they're like, let's set up a tent. We gotta get organized. No, do you know any 16-year-old that's organized? Like the stuff that they do is just kind of like, okay, I get it. It's TV show. It's TV show children, but all right.
I was pouring a whole box of cereal in a bowl with a giant gallon of milk and watching Comedy Central.
Exactly. So, I know we're talking about the A-Team here, but I might want to check that out.
Yeah, I'll give it a try.
Okay. All right. So
How much did Netflix pay you to say that?
Oh, I mean, listen, if you don't want us to be bought by Disney Netflix, that's fine. We will go with you as well. Because clearly it's shaping up to be Netflix versus Disney. So, among other things. So I know I've been talking about everything I love about it. So let me, I guess, let's get into some of the stuff that I didn't like.
Ooh,
I know.
hating on the A-Team.
No, I'm not hating on the A-Team. But one of the things that you talked about was how everyone was having fun.
Okay.
Everyone's having a good time, jokes. And like one of my things was like, everyone is a wise ass. Like everyone. And Hannibal, Face, Sosa, Lynch, Pike, Morrison, they all have like these one-liners. They're all wise asses, and that's great. I go, but like when you're writing a script or when you're creating characters, you can't have characters all have the same voices because then it just becomes repetitive. It just becomes like they're all one note and they're all the same and they're all doing the same stuff. Nobody has any kind of feeling or emotion, so that when you have the scene where Face and Sosa are in the photo booth and you're supposed to feel for Face, like all of a sudden he talks about how she hurt him. Now I don't know. I think in mine there was more. I think it was really. I remember it being quick in the theatrical version, but in the extended cut, I thought there was more. There's more stuff there between them. There's more. I think. You don't know?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it wasn't exactly like super short.
They have a lot more stuff. So I'll get to what's different, I think. But anyways, so when everyone is the same, I think it lessens the jokes. I mean, like I know everyone wants to have a good joke and it wants to, say the funny stuff, but some people can't do the same. They just can't do it.
Right.
So I thought that at times it was tough. And I know, talking about the differences between the extended and the theatrical, in the extended, there's more stuff with Sosa, Jessica Biel's character, where she comments more. She makes more like... So there's a scene when the two guys that she's with at all times are supposed to be watching the A-Team. They're making their plans to go get the plates.
Okay.
Okay, so is that...
That's
okay.
not...
Okay, so in the theatrical, these guys are together, and then they cut outside to the two guys that are always with her, and they're watching this tent, and you see people, and then she comes up to them, and she's like, what have they been doing? Nothing. They have this conversation about what they're eating. Oh, they've been in there for 3 hours. She's like, they've been in there for 3 hours, and you haven't done anything? So then they go in there, and it's like these four other dudes. that are like, oh, we got paid $50 to just stay in here. Like that was the whole thing. And she's like, duh. She says like something like that. So like it was just kind of like, like I can see why they cut it.
Yeah.
But it was and it was just like she has a couple of those moments, and she's like, that's not Sosa. Sosa, I don't think Sosa would be. She doesn't come off. Her character as a wise ass doesn't really work as well as maybe like Face being a wise ass, or you know what
absolutely.
I mean?
She's definitely a by the books kind of person.
Right. So
Yeah.
so one of my things was that I would have appreciated a little bit more of a spacing between how the characters are portrayed in terms of just not always everyone cracking jokes. I get it with the four guys because they're all like pals and stuff like that. And I mean, and not that nothing was funny. It was funny. I was laughing.
Yeah.
But I thought that maybe it could have been a little bit, I don't know, there could have been differentiation between the actors. Or, the characters, not just the actors.
All right.
So that was one thing. Did you not like anything? Did you love it, the whole thing?
No, I don't love it.
Okay.
It definitely has its issues. I like that they're all jokey and wise asses because it doesn't place it in the real world.
I enjoy that. I just think it was too much at times, maybe.
Fine. Sure. I mean, the plot's just all over the place. It's really my main concern, my main issue with the film is the plot. And the third act, like you said, it's just ridiculous.
The whole setup.
The sleight of hand thing, the setup with the cranes. And then at the end when Pike blows a hole in the tanker and it goes down and all the different shipping containers fall all over the place. None of those are moving that one container. Like the container that Hannibal is in is fine and untouched. It's a lot. I mean, I know it's a lot of disbelief in the whole film. I mean, they fly a tank down into water. But
which is awesome.
That became a little too ridiculous for me. Like the fact that they remained safe that whole time.
Yep.
So really, with me, it's always third act issues, I think.
Oh, well, I think that's something we talked about.
A lot of movies have.
Did we talk about that when we did the Star Chamber?
We did.
Okay.
And there were at least one or two other times.
Right.
As well.
So, yeah, that's a big issue everywhere. It's always a third act. Always third act issues. Which is I'm surprised. And you know what? I would say it's not third act endings, it's beginning of the third act. So, because you can always come up with a great beginning and everyone can come with a great way to end something, but getting to that I've always thought was the toughest thing to do, at least writing wise. And I've always had second act issues in terms of where I kind of meander, and like I don't like writing long scripts. So when I get to page like 60, I start getting antsy because I'm like, I want to end this. Because my thing is like I don't, in my scripts, at least the newer ones, I don't like, or in any not just scripts but any story I write, I don't like having wasted lines or dialogue or scenes. I want everything to be towards the story.
Okay.
I want everything, even a drama. When I wrote the adaptation for Doll's House, which is called Doll, I wanted to make sure that it was a straight drama, but I wanted to make sure that every scene was specific to what was happening or what we were leading up to. So I've always had Act 2 issues. But it always seems that when we watch something, it's like like the beginning of Act 3 issues. Like it's just kind of like the setup or getting to the end.
Well, I think that speaks to. I mean, it seems to happen a lot in this Forgotten Cinema podcast. Do you think maybe that's why a reason some of these films are forgotten, or maybe they weren't as well reviewed as we remember liking them, but. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's this third act issue. Well,
this movie is interesting because it's, when we talk about Forgotten Cinema, this movie is interesting because it's not. I can understand why this was forgotten because people just didn't like it, or they didn't like what we talked about, third act issues, right. Or just kind of just the writing and stuff like that. So I can understand and not sympathize, but agree that there's a reason why it was forgotten. I think why me and you both like it, or why I like it, is, like I said, I have a connection to the show.
Right.
And the action is good. Like, I don't know if I've said this on our podcast. I probably have. Even the best movie has problems. The best movie will have a scene or two or a line or a moment where I don't like. Right. Every I can give you any movie. You give me any movie, I can tell you what I didn't like.
I'd tell you the line from Captain Marvel that you hated. But
they didn't put it in the trailer. Or they didn't put it in the movie, which is great because I couldn't. Because in the trailer, I hated that. I hated it. And the line we're talking about is when she says like, "I'm not gonna fight you," or "I'm gonna end it," and it was almost like Valley Girl style. It felt that way, and I'm glad they got rid of it because maybe they were like, "Yeah, that's not the tone we want," and that's fine and great, good for them because the trailers don't count. If it's in the trailer and it's not in the movie, I don't hold that against the movie because that's ridiculous. I mean, I really wish we saw the in Twister trailer. What is they have the tire or in the trailer for Twister? There's a famous like either the tire or they have the cow. Or the house. There's a moment in the Twister where in the trailer there's this huge tire that bounces, but it's not in the movie. And it was the most iconic part of the trailer, and it wasn't in the movie. I think it was a tire. I gotta look back. But yeah, so I won't hold anything that's in the trailer against the movie itself. So yes, the best movie will have an issue, and the worst movie will have moments in it that are fantastic. And you can tell me that this movie's flawed, and that's great. But I can give you a handful of moments in this movie that are good, that are quality. So I works both ways. So yeah, so any movie you pick that I love, I can tell you what's wrong with it, or I can tell you what I didn't like. But that's what I said. Okay. So one of the other things I didn't like, I don't know. Go ahead. I was talking for like 5 minutes. Go ahead.
There's a lot I like about the movie other than the plot.
Oh, give me something.
So
yeah.
I think they try to add too many stories into this film. And one of those is the B.A. Baracus subplot. So I guess that the B.A. plot doesn't make much sense to me. It seems kind of shoehorned. It seems like a plot they should have added to the sequel, like an A-Team.
Are you talking about when he gets his car, gets the truck?
I'm talking about I'm not killing anybody anymore.
Oh yeah, I think that's just kind of like a refusal to, like the writer's journey, like a refusal. For the mission, kind of the refusal. What's the word? I can't think of the word. I'm blanking. But it's just basically like that's he needs to do. He's the hero, and he's refusing to.
Reluctant hero.
Yeah, I think that, or just to give him something. I hear you. Yeah.
I guess. I mean, if they wanted to do that, what they should have done is expanded upon. Kind of. There are moments in the film where Face kind of starts to not trust Hannibal. I think just really slight moments, like, would you ever do that to us, sir? But, but you didn't see that coming when they find out the general betrayed them.
Right at the end when you find out Morrison's alive.
And I remember, I'm clearly now that I've rewatched it, I'm misremembering or not remembering.
That's not a word.
I know everything. I thought I remembered that actually becoming an issue, which is why Face comes up with the plan at the end, because Hannibal and him kind of go at odds, and I have to put that. I guess I thought that wrong, but. That adds a little bit more drama to the plot, and I guess if you wanted a more reluctant journey, maybe they don't want to follow Hannibal's order because they got them strip of rank. But BA's I'm not going to fight anymore because I found the words of Gandhi and stuff.
Yeah, he took a vow.
While I was in prison, just kind of seems tacked on.
Yeah, he took a vow of nonviolence.
Yeah, it just doesn't service the story in a way that it doesn't mesh with. It doesn't flow with the story. It's not story driven.
Right. Well, you don't have anything in the beginning where BA has an issue with what they're doing. Like you, in terms of like the 8 years, 80 missions later, you never. Right. There's no inkling of that. Just as when they set up the whole thing where like he's yelling at him, he's yelling at Face, even up until when they go to Morrison about how you don't think about, you don't understand the plan, you don't ever think ahead, like all that stuff. And it's like, and then they get blown up, and Face, and then Hannibal's like, I don't know what to do, and Face is like, I think I got an idea. It's like, okay, fine, you're gonna do a plan, but you never address the whole thing for the last hour of the movie where Hannibal has been yelling at him about how he doesn't think ahead. Like they never really, not that he thought ahead, right? But they never talk about it. So yeah, there's some inconsistency there.
They should have followed one of the two plots: either Face and Hannibal losing his faith in Hannibal, or that Face has to become a leader in his own way, which they do kind of follow, but loosely.
But then you'd have to kill Hannibal, or you'd have to injure him where he couldn't do anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're not going to do that. So yeah,
not for the first A-Team movie.
No, well then yeah. So they I guess I read that they're not going to they were relying on DVD sales.
Gotcha.
How like that was going to do, and whether they were going to go do a second movie, and it didn't do well enough. So they all shot it down. Like Carnahan said, like it didn't make enough money, it ain't happening. Cooper said that, and they all said they had interest. Of course, they say they have interest. It's another paycheck.
Right.
Oh, I have interest. Of course you do. But I do know that I saw that because I wrote it down. They did 2 comic books as kind of like a marketing thing for this movie. So they did the comic book A-Team War Stories, which was a prequel to the movie. So there were 4 different sets where it's a story about each character.
Okay.
And then they did one after called A-Team Shotgun Wedding, where they're on a cruise ship and like they have to protect this general's daughter, and they all take like jobs on the cruise ship to protect her. Like, Face is like the wedding planner, and he has a history with the bride, like he's been with her, of course. Hannibal's the priest, like stuff like that. So they did. And those were written by Carnahan and a couple other guys, so he was part of that. So,
that's cool.
So they did have stuff like that. I actually was trying to see if you can buy Shotgun Wedding. I couldn't find War Stories, but you definitely could buy Shotgun Wedding somewhere. So yeah, so there was, I guess, an idea of where they could go from there, and it's set up where I would have watched the second one. I would have watched the third one.
Absolutely.
But if it doesn't make a massive amount of money these days, it's not worth it. And plus, it's $110 million. Nothing to sneeze at.
They could have scaled. I mean, they didn't need as big of an ending as they ended up having. I mean, that shipping container scene probably cost a lot of the budget.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
You could have simplified it, done another thing like the job in Iraq. It'd been a while since we've seen another, like, medium-sized action scene. That they could have settled for a medium-sized action scene for the
problem is you can't go back. You'd have to go bigger. You couldn't.
They
go
went too big.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Yeah. So no, but one of the other things I didn't like, even though I talked about it, I love the 20-minute opening. It's great. Then they get arrested, and they have like another opening where like, because they go like they have the like, hey, we're the A-Team. 8 years later, and then they do their job. They get arrested 6 months later, and then like you have another kind of pseudo opening where he's busting everyone out of prison, and it's just like we did this already. It's like we're introducing them again. I just know these guys now. I have to see them again. So that was a little too much. A little. I felt like I was still watching like the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
You never got into like the basic. I mean, the basic plot of the story is when they go get the plates back again. Like, so they have like, you know what I mean? Like they have that opening where they all meet in Mexico.
Yes.
Okay. Then when they go get the shipping and they go get the plates, like that's kind of like an Act 1 situation there.
Yeah.
When they get double crossed. So and then you go back like to another Act 1 situation where like let's get the team back together. Like you were just together. Granted, it's been 6 months later, but you were just together 15 minutes ago.
Yeah. For us, it's like no time.
Right. Like so, like when he goes to get the group back together, the band back together, as I said before, that's like the second film when he's breaking. That should be a second film opening when he's breaking everyone out. Like you went the first one where they go off and you never see from them again. The second film he's breaking them out from different prisons. Like that's that type of opening.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like a mismatch of stuff that kind of like threw me a little bit.
Well, if it was in development hell for so long, maybe these were pieces of other scripts that kind of came together.
That's probably accurate. Yep, I can see that. Yep, absolutely. So now, when they reveal that Morrison is the bad guy, which he's not really. He's like he gets. So when they're in the wherever they're, that barn.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. Again, this is about the extended version versus theatrical.
Okay.
Does Face pull a gun in the theatrical version on him and says like, "Let me just off him right now"? Does he do that?
No.
Okay. So how? So it just goes from he does the reveal.
He does the reveal. You cut time. He talks to Pike about
He gets on the phone.
He gets on the phone with Lynch, and talks about how I want full immunity. I want joint chiefs of staff.
He wants everything signed.
To write it. I want it all on the book that we're pardoned. And then he was like, "Oh, it just maybe takes me 5 minutes." And then it cuts to Liam Neeson, gun against Morrison's head, getting the confession out of him.
Okay, like the self-righteous confession.
Right.
Hey, everyone's doing it. Like, okay, all of a sudden,
outside the bar.
So in the extended cut, when he reveals him, there's like a good 5 minutes where like you see they have like a betrayal thing between like Murdoch is like, how could you do that to us? He's like getting super emotional. Like, how could you do this with your team? And then like all of a sudden like Face goes from like 1 to 10 in anger. Cocks the gun. He's like, let me just end it right here and right here. Like pulls a gun on him. Like they have to get him out of there. And he's all ticked off. And like I was like, I do not remember this part. Like so the betrayal stuff. It was interesting. It was like the stuff with Murdoch I liked because it was just like like. Wow, that's pretty, like, how could you do that?
Yeah.
But then the Face stuff was like, whoa, where is this coming from? Like, because he was just joking. It was like out of nowhere.
I never thought you'd betray your oldest living friend. I just hit first, Hannibal. I'm a fighting man.
You're a liar. I'm a traitor.
Then don't draw this out. Kill me.
That's a fantastic idea.
Whoa.
Boss, let me do this.
Faith, I ain't killing nobody.
You're not, Bosco. I am.
So I was like, I can see why you cut that. Like all the cuts they made sense. So but seeing them all together, I liked seeing them together. But the cuts made sense. I think the cuts made the movie faster. The theatrical version it always felt like balls to the wall. Yeah. Definitely. So, which is probably why we both liked it when we first watched it.
Yeah, the 2-hour movie that feels like a 90-minute movie, which is nice.
Yeah. This was 2:15, 2:13. Felt like 2:13.
But yeah, absolutely. I think the fact that it flows so fast. When I started, I'm like, 2 hours? I don't remember it being 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like I didn't remember that. And then when I watched it, I still never looked at like my phone once to see what time it was. I'm just watching it.
Yeah, it's good. And Brian Bloom's good as Pike.
I really like the scene where he's in the car about to get assassinated.
Really, don't let this guy kill me. Really? Yeah.
I have one last request.
Hey, what are you doing in the car?
We're gonna do this in the car?
You doing this?
He's gonna do it.
Way to go. That's brilliant right there. What are you doing? What is he doing? Jesus.
How's it going, Kyle? You all right?
I'm good. Brother, you are far from good. What are you doing? That's not, it's silence. It's a suppressor, counterclockwise. You holding a gun like that? You've held a gun like that before? You're still here? That's amazing. Jesus Christ. Hey, final request. Don't let this guy shoot me, please.
Yeah.
Gunner phone. Choose one.
When the guy, he's on the phone, yeah. Did you like Wilson as Lynch?
I did. I really like Wilson as Lynch. I really like Patrick
Wilson's a really good actor, absolutely.
And, one of my notes is that I like his snarkiness and stuff like that. And I just wrote down that I don't know why he's not more of a main character. He's always like the bit player in films. Most films.
That's not true. He's in Conjuring. He did Watchmen. Now Watchmen's not his fault because Watchmen didn't I'm sure that when he did Watchmen, the idea was to do more than one movie, and they never did.
I think he did more than one Watchmen. I mean,
I don't know. Don't you think that movie, if that movie was a huge, because it wasn't a huge success, it made money, but it wasn't like what they thought.
I don't know
that he would have went on from that. You should see Stretch then, because Stretch, he's good. Is
he the main in Stretch?
You should see Stretch.
I really like Patrick Wilson. He's not usually the main and stuff.
True,
but he's always really good in whatever he plays.
I think he does a lot of stage as well.
I can see that.
Which we've had that discussion where I don't know if on here, but. Between you and me, where I just always feel that strong actors come from the stage. I just like that if that's their base, just because that teaches you character, that teaches you have to focus on being who you are on stage. I think
the audience is watching you; they're not watching cuts and special effects. And
you don't get
can't save you.
Right, you don't get. How can I do that again? You don't get that, and I think your stronger actors come from the stage, and even like. Again, we're tangenting here. It's not a word, but like Jake Gyllenhaal, when he was in, I remember when he was in Moonlight Mile, and he, Dustin Hoffman's in that, and Dustin Hoffman told him like, you go to the stage, go do as much stage as you can. And I remember he went and did that, and then after Prince of Persia, I think he kind of dropped off a little, but he was doing stage work.
Yeah,
and now he's come back, and the roles he's picking are not. He's not in, obviously. I know he's in the new Spider-Man.
He is in News, yeah.
Right. But, like, the movies he was in beforehand, he's really, really good in. And he's, you can tell that, not that he's gotten so much better, but, like, he has gained, I think he's tapped into what, brought him to becoming an actor.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, yeah. So, no, and I think that you should never knock hitting the stage any actor because... I think it just makes you better, and I think Wilson is from that. So that's my roundabout way to say, yes, I agree, he's a good actor.
So you did like Wilson when you brought him up?
No, okay. Yeah. I think my only problem is that, again, everyone's wise ass. That's my thing. And
and that's the thing I really like about this movie.
But that doesn't, like, I mean, maybe watching the extended version did that. Just because I saw a little extra and it was just a little too much.
Sosa isn't a wise ass in the regular cut.
She's not. She's a pain in the ass.
So when you watch it with where if they add that stuff in for her, then that does
it didn't, because there was a couple moments where I was just like, ugh, no.
She's like the only regular person in the whole group, and that's the way it's cut.
Right.
That probably makes it a little better.
Right. one of the things I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
In the theatrical version, was he cooking steaks with antifreeze?
Yes.
Okay, was that
That
in
was
there?
that
Okay,
was in the
good.
original
All right,
movie
good,
too.
thank
Yeah.
you. Okay, thank God. I was like, I don't remember this.
I remember that. I was like, everybody's on to you now, Murdoch. You can't do that anymore. Can't make. It's only a little paralysis. Only a little paralysis.
So yeah, so I mean, I guess I would assume we're at the point. Oh, I know what I wanted to talk. So the cameos,
Okay.
they're in the post credit scene for the theatrical cut. So the Dirk Benedict cameo, he played Face in the show, and the Dwight Schultz cameo, he played Murdoch.
Yep.
Okay, so they're in the cut scenes at the end of the movie, but in the extended cut, they're in the movie.
Oh, really?
Yes. So like, did you see them?
I didn't.
Okay, so when Face goes into the tanning booth and he's doing the Hollywood thing, and he's like, Hannibal takes him out.
Yeah.
He walks past. He has this lotion. He's like, hey, what do I do with this? And Dirk Benedict comes out of the tanning booth. He's like, oh man, always take care of the face. He says some line like that. Whatever. It's like, oh hey, Dirk Benedict. And then I find out later that he hated the movie. He hated nobody liked the movie. None of the Schultz kind of was okay with it, but he was like, it was okay, but they really didn't understand the character. It was like one of those things. It was one of the characters. Dirk Benedict didn't like the movie, and Mr. T wouldn't watch it because I don't know, he just didn't watch it. Like I
could have played T. Fool.
They actually asked him about being in the movie, and he was like, B.A. Baracus was so into B.A. Baracus that he couldn't play anything but B.A. Baracus, so he couldn't come back just to do something else. It's like, really? So shut up. I get it. I mean,
That's like Adam West in 1989 Batman, wanting to be Batman in Batman 1989.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. These roles made you, and these roles are iconic. But at some point, you have to put. I guess that's ego. You got to push ego aside and just kind of just don't do the movie then. Don't do the cameo. Like Benedict regretted doing the cameo, and because it just didn't make any sense. Well, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to have. Did you want a big role?
I wanted to play Face's dad.
Yeah. So that's his cameo, and then Schultz's cameo is they actually are giving Murdoch electric shock before the scene. So when Sosa comes in to see him at the hospital in Germany, and he's pretending he's drooling and he's out of it.
Yeah.
There's a scene where he's talking as he's like, it's almost like he's sane. He's talking to this woman, and she's like, and he's talking about opening up your love and your heart and blah, blah, blah. She's like, okay, and then she puts the rubber thing in his mouth, and they start shocking him. But and Schultz is playing the doctor, and he's like, okay, so, and the other doctor's like, yeah, and no matter what we give him, it doesn't matter. So they show him, he's like, woohoo, it's fine, it tickles. He's like, well, what about turning it up? He's like, yeah, go ahead, turn it up, and it's like nothing. He's like, it doesn't affect him. Like he's getting electroshock treatment that does no effect on him. So that's actually before when you see him. Before they do the movie thing. So I don't know. That's a little bit of extended version. Sorry, I should have watched your theatrical cut.
You son of a
So I guess we're at the time where I'm pretty much, I know your answer, but do you think this is worth a revisit for people out there that maybe have seen it but forgot it, or maybe didn't see it, didn't want to see it? He's thinking, ladies and gentlemen. Someone comes up to you and says, that movie's a piece of crap.
I would say watch it again. I remember just thinking, that was okay. But watching it again, you kind of, like you always say, you don't want to say
turn your brain off. Yeah, I hate that.
But you understand the world a little bit more. You understand it's not trying to take place in, the real world. Like Lethal Weapon films take place more or less in the real world, even though they're wisecracky and jokey. This is kind of, they're flying a tank out into the water.
Lethal Weapon takes place in the real world?
Well, more so than like this. They're not flying tanks down. They're not.
That's true. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
In the real world, in a Die Hard.
Okay.
Kind of, Die Hard 1 through 3 kind of way.
What's wrong with Die Hard 4? Die Hard, Live, Let It Live, or what is it? Live Free or Die Hard? I hate the.
None of the other Die Hards exist.
No, listen.
Die Hard ends at 3.
Die Hard, the fifth Die Hard makes Die Hard 4 look okay. I agree.
Is the fifth Die Hard Russia?
Yeah. There's that Die Hard. What is it? Die Hard.
Die Hard? I don't know.
Die Hardest? My God, how can we not know that Die Hard movie? Die Hard.
Because Die Hard ends with Die Hard with a Vengeance. It's the third Die Hard movie.
I can agree with that. I can agree with that. Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. It is a little. I think I would tell people a good day to die hard. So I would tell people that if you remember the TV show, you should watch the movie, because I think the movie is good enough for people that love the show.
Sure.
I mean, I think if you like the show, you're going to like the movie. It's that insane sometimes in terms of the action and just the sheer, I don't know, balls to the wall type of stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
I know I used that phrase before. But if you're looking for like a James Bond action movie, no, I don't think they'll like it. So, I mean, I would say yes. I would say definitely watch it, because it's a fun watch. It's a fun Saturday night watch.
Yeah, you're looking for a fun movie. Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, but like, I can definitely, off the top of my head, I probably can know like 3 or 4 people that wouldn't like it, just wouldn't be interested. And I can understand that. I mean, this is not a movie that if we were in the office, and we were talking movies, that I'm going to be like, you should watch this movie. Like, I'm telling you to watch Stretch. This is not that type of movie.
Okay.
I wouldn't say that to people.
I would agree with that. There's some people, I mean, it's jokey. The action's a little ridiculous, but fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But here's my question to you now.
Ooh. I never get questions.
This was the first movie you mentioned
for
our Forgotten Cinema
It was,
list.
yeah.
Now, why is that?
I remember liking it. I remember liking it a lot, and I remember nobody talking about it. I remember coming out of it, and I was like, yeah, that was great. It's the A-Team. I remember, like, yeah, he was Hannibal. He was Face. I thought it was perfect casting. I think that was when Cooper was like not first big, but like he was in the middle of it. He's a big star now. He was a big star then. So I think that's why. I remember liking it a lot. And I remember nobody talking about it. And I think that's what, when we were talking about Forgotten Cinema, that's what we were talking about. We were talking about the A-Team, right? Like, we were actually discussing the A-Team.
It came up, yeah, movies nobody talks about, yeah.
Right. So I think this movie was one of the movies that we were like, we should do a podcast about that, that kind of stuff. So, yeah. No, I really liked it. I like the action. I love the tank scene. That's what I already talked about how when she does that line, they're flying the tank. Like, I thought that was great.
Are we still on the plane? Oh, we're not on the plane anymore.
Yeah, they cut. That was. Yeah, I remember that being like smoother. Like, they actually got to the tank. I didn't remember they just like stopped. The plane blew up and they were in the tank.
Yeah,
it was really awkward, but that's fine. Yeah. So to answer your question, because I really liked it and nobody talked about it. And then I realized. Then we started doing our list of movies, and it was like, nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about Frailty anymore. Like that kind of stuff. It's a really good movie.
We'll get there.
I know. I'm just saying. But yeah, no, that's why. That's why. To answer your question, well, I forgot it, but that's why.
Why it was the top of the list.
Yeah. Well, now it's gone. Now it's no more. We've done it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now's the time we plug.
All right.
Go ahead. Nah, I should go first. No, I always say I should go first. You go first.
Okay.
Because I know you have a lot more than me.
You got 2 books. I got 2 podcasts.
You have. Yeah, it's true. Go ahead.
All right. Well, this is my plug time. I got 2 podcasts out now other than this one. I've got Two Player Bros, a podcast by 2 brothers who play way too many video games. Join me and my brother Alex while we talk about all things video game related. And I've also got Crackin' One Open with Mike and Elise, a podcast about brews, news, and pop culture reviews, where we crack open a different craft beer every week, and we give it a review. We talk about what we think about it, what it tastes like, give you a little bit of history on the beer and the brewery, and then while we're drinking it, we give the latest pop culture news and reviews, what's on TV, what's out in cinemas, and we talk about that. So that's Two Player Bros and Crackin' One Open with Mike and Elise. That's available wherever podcasts can be found. Please like, subscribe, and listen.
Well, our podcast, not theirs.
We'll get to ours.
So this is Mike Field. So I have 2 books out, Adam Parker and the Radioactive Scout, which I wrote about 6 years ago, and then Adam Parker and the High School Bully, which just came out, which is a follow-up. Those are available on Amazon.com through ebook or paperback. I also, because I know that I've talked a bunch of times in this podcast and other podcasts about the stuff I write and stuff I shoot and all that stuff. So if you're interested in that, I have my personal website, which is michaeldfield.com. michaeldfield.com. Again, that's michaeldfield.com. And you can see I've got some links to videos up there. I have some excerpts from some scripts that I've written, and I have a personal blog up there, which is pretty much just me talking about writing or, I don't know, generic stuff, movies. I don't really go into movie reviews too much because, I don't know, I just feel weird reviewing movies. Talking about them is fantastic. I don't mind talking about them. I can talk about them all day. But dropping a review down just doesn't feel right to me. So, yeah. Anyways, that's my thing. That's my plug.
All right. And if you liked this podcast...
Oh, yes. Excuse me. Go ahead.
Please like us wherever you're listening to us. Please subscribe. Please review.
Definitely.
We'll take any review, positive or negative. Hopefully it's positive.
Also, visit us on our website.
Visit us on our website, ForgottenCinemaPodcast.com. And, drop us an email, drop us a line in the comments or any of our social medias, and let us know, what movie you think we should do.
We do have a contact form on the website, which you can offer up suggestions, and we will take them.
Yeah, absolutely. Might take us a little while to get to them, but we will take everything into consideration.
Absolutely.
And join us next week where we talk about the Disney animated feature Meet the Robinsons.
So, once again, I'm Mike Field.
And I'm Mike Butler.
And this has been Forgotten Cinema. Oh, shoot, I screwed it up. We got to do it again. I'm so worried that I'm going to go into the Quantum Leap song. No.